Public Relations Consultants Association of Nigeria. He holds a PhD communication and served as former Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Adamawa State, and also a one-time Director of Press and Public Affairs at the Government House in Yola, and Head of Information and Protocol at Adamawa State University, Yola. Okay. Adamawa State University, Mubi. And he has been in various positions in government and also in the National Broadcasting Commission. Okay. He's one of the few Nigerians who has been able to keep his head above the murky waters of corruption and challenges in leadership, in spite of holding high political office. He's an honorary citizen of Kansas City, USA, among many honors. He's happily married to Fatima, and they have 4 children. Please welcome with me, Ahmad Sajoh. How are you, sir?
Well, we thank God. God is in charge, and thank you very much for opening with a very powerful prayer.
Thank you so much for joining us
sir.
today. Where are you joining us from? Are you in Yola, Lagos,
Abuja?
Yeah, Abuja is
I'm
where.
joining in Abuja.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Are you still holding political office or political appointment here, there, or anywhere, or are you just a private citizen?
No, I'm just an elected member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, which is a professional body, an elected member of the governing council.
Okay, so that's just basically what you do. Thank you so much. You were one-time Director of Press and Government Affairs, the Government House, Yola. You were once Protocol at Adamawa State University, Mubi. You've been a strong voice in media and a great commentator on national and public affairs. I want to see the person. And you have experience in trade union activities. What was the motivation that took you to all those places and all those interests?
That's interesting. Look, let me start by actually telling you that I'm a Nigerian with unique experiences. A lot of you may not know that first, I am a Nigerian by choice made by my parents. As at 1960, probably we had no country because by 1960, the area where I come from was a mandated territory or a trust territory of the United Nations. We voted in February 1961 to decide to join this country called Nigeria. I want to tell you that briefly in 2014, I also lost my Nigerian citizenship when Boko Haram took over my hometown, changed the name to Madinatul Islam, and chased all of us away. My parents had to run to Cameroon, and well, so these are some very, very hard experiences that I have had. But I was also lucky, like you, Pastor. I'm lucky. Unlike what we're experiencing today, I was born and bred in Mubi, Adamawa State. I had my secondary education in Warri, Delta State, and I had a varied other experiences living in places like Kaduna, Port Harcourt, living in the Enugu ones, and then Akure. So I am a cosmopolitan Nigerian, and I'm a Nigerian to the core. And I feel sad that today our children will be born in one location, they will attend all their education, their schooling in one location, and grow up and start working in that same location. We're growing an elite class that is seriously very, very provincial rather than cosmopolitan. But that is aside. You invited me today to talk about Solution Nigeria. the solution cannot be in a vacuum. I want us to understand that, yes, why do we need a solution for Nigeria? And is Nigeria a hopeless, a basket case? And then what are the things that we do to change the narrative for our country? I must say that, Pastor, we have to agree that our country, Nigeria, is at a crossroads. We are really, really in some difficulties. Difficulties because we have had stunted growth and we're severely underdeveloped. There is no point in trying to sugarcoat it and begin to mention that we are a developing country. We are actually an underdeveloped country. Our growth has been stunted. By 1978, China was severely, had severe poverty. Today, the poverty has been reduced considerably. By 1960, we were compared to the Asian tigers. Today, we are nowhere near them. So we're actually stunted in growth and severely underdeveloped. And the level of corruption in the country is excessive. But I told you, I served as a local government secretary. I served at the government house. I served as at the cabinet of a state. I served as a board member at the federal level. I have served this country at all levels. And I know the level of corruption that takes place at all levels in this country. And I know the difficulty I have had to keep my head above water. In fact, I'm probably one of the few people that became commissioner without the House of Assembly, simply because there was a petition in the House that I would not allow water to pass under the bridge. The House, by the grace of God, did not pass me and did not return my name. And by the 22nd working day, I just threatened to go to court that the Constitution says if your name stays in the House for 21 working days, you are cleared by the Constitution. That's how I became commissioner. So I understand the perversity of the corruption. We have an unacceptably high level of insecurity in the country with insurgents, bandits, and all the social miscreants and criminals operating in synergy, while at the level of our own intervention as authorities, we are treating them as if they operate in silos. And as a result, we have a level of insecurity that is absolutely unacceptable anywhere, no matter how one looks at it. We have a high level of mistrust among the citizens. In the past, it used to be that only the people who have not gone to school, that do not understand Nigeria and that have not lived with other people and maybe given a number of misinformation about certain locations.
I think you are frozen. I think it's frozen. So sorry about that. We'll try and wait to get him back up. I know that. Yeah, he was talking about stunted growth in Nigeria, severely underdeveloped, unacceptable high level of insecurity, and a high level of mistrust. I was also going to try and ask him what is the situation with his village that was overrun, and what can we do in this our great Nigeria, and see how we can truly turn things around. Very, very sad case. I think he's back. Dr. Ahmed,
Let me remove
you
my
have to
picture.
unmute yourself.
Okay, maybe let me remove my picture. So I was just saying that the current education trajectory we have taken for ourselves is further, introducing mistrust amongst our own citizens as well, because people no longer move around, and of course, for very good measure. We have very poor infrastructure, power, water, roads, even the internet. I've just experienced, or we have just experienced the poverty of the internet service provision. We have poor service delivery, education, healthcare, and all the other services. We have serious institutional failure. Governance is built around leaders. We do not have institutional capabilities as a people. What we have that every leader molds whatever area he governs around his own image. And if he has very poor capacity, it remains like that. We have transactional relationship in politics, in even social. You need to, everything has been made transactional. To stand election, to even participate in the political system, it has to be transactional. To pass budgets, to do everything, anything you can think of now is transactional. We have become a huge market. Our industries have collapsed. We have high level of unemployment. But most worrisome is that we have lost our values. When we were growing up, Pastor, you know it, that if you get sweet or biscuit from outside as a child, you have a lot of explanation to give your mother as to where you got it. But today, people do whatever they can do to make money, and they go home and they are celebrated. How do you celebrate, criminality, and you expect that criminals will not take charge of the system? So this is the situation we are in. But is Nigeria a basket case? Pastor and participants, I tell you, Nigeria is not a basket case. Let me tell you, we have a very large population, and we always lament our population. But I tell you, a population is not, is an advantage, it's not a disadvantage. I must say that when certain countries like China and India, I tell you, China is telling you that even if the heavens want to fall, they have enough people to hold it back, means that a huge population is an advantage. It just depends on how we utilize the advantage. And we prefer to lament our population. We prefer to agonize instead of organizing our population into a productive resource. And so we suffer. But our population is an advantage. If you are in the industry, or productive industry, even if it is human shit you sell, you have enough market to sell it in this country. We have diversity of both human and environmental resources. This is also a huge advantage. Diversity is not a disadvantage; it's an advantage. We have a climatic condition that enables you to plant anything that is plantable in the world anywhere. In Nigeria, there's a place where you can grow apples. There are places where you can grow dates. There are places you can grow anything you want to grow. Food crops, cash crops, there's nothing you cannot grow in Nigeria. That is an advantage. We have oceans, we have mountains, we have all of these things. And we have a dynamic, creative, and resourceful youth population. The only disadvantage is that in other countries, government is an enabler. Where there is government regulations, systems work much better. In Nigeria, where there is government regulation, our progress is very, very, very little. Where there is no government regulation or government regulation is minimal, that's where we are making progress. Take, for example, the creative industry, music, film, and other creative areas. There's very little government interference, and so there's a huge quantum of progress we are making. Go to any part of the world, when they play music in their bar, likelihood is that by the time they go 1, 2, 3, the fourth will be a Nigerian music. So why should we have less progress where government regulation exists, and then more progress where there is little government regulation? But we have a dynamic, creative, and resourceful young population. Honestly, that is also an advantage. And we have a very friendly climate. God has been merciful to us. Sir, we don't see disasters we see in other places. Nigeria is blessed. Even the flash flooding, 90% of our flash flooding, I have managed flash flooding for a government. 90% of it is due to negligence. Negligence either on the part of the citizens or on the part of the government. So we are okay in that direction. Now, solution Nigeria. If we really want a better Nigeria for ourselves, what do we do? And I have only, for clarity, I have only 4 areas that I want us to focus. If we focus on those 4 areas,
maybe before you go into what we should do, maybe I can step you back a little bit. You've told us
yes, sir.
what all the problems are, and I think you've narrowed down to corruption and paucity of appropriate government. The question is, how is it, what happened to Nigeria that since 1960 to date, this is almost 65 years, we have consistently produced and evolved inappropriate leadership at the highest levels? What formula brought that about? That is what has been Nigeria's lot. What was the thing that led to that, in your own view and according to your own perspective?
Honestly, very simple, my pastor. We lost our values. We lost our values. We became materialistic. We stopped even serving God Almighty. We're serving the God of materialism. We have become, wealth has become the only thing that is respected in this country. You ought to be wealthy, or at least you have to have enough resources to throw around or to dispense for you to be respected. We've never been like this. The initial leadership that we had, at least the ones that I know, did not even care whether they have a beautiful house, whether they have the best car in town, whether they have, and honestly speaking, we lost our values. We lost our values. People aren't respected for who they are or for what they can do, for what they can, improve in society. People are just respected because they have money. And so we reached a level where first, if people are in positions of authority and they can steal, they steal. If they're not in position of authority, they go to other means, very dangerous means. This is the only country where people can take their mother to the shrine so that they can be rich and be respected. If we just lost our values,
but what led to this? What led to this loss of value? Did we just wake up and the values ran away, or if we had, or we never really had value, and therefore it was inevitable that being a valueless society, this was going to be the outcome? Or we had values at a certain stage and somebody stole those values? What's in your opinion?
We had values. We had values.
We had values.
And I tell you,
then what happened?
We suddenly just, it's erosion. The values were being eroded gradually and gradually, and we lost all of them. We had values. I can tell you, for example, Ahmad Bello was the premier of Northern Nigeria. Northern Nigeria had 2 jets, 2 official jets that they were using for official purposes. One day he took one of the jets and went to Sokoto to see a sick relation. When he returned, a protocol officer in the office of the premier raised an invoice that trip was not an official trip, and that Ahmad Bello used an official jet to go for a private trip. He has to pay for it, raise a memo, raise an invoice. The premier paid, was given a receipt. If you go to Arewa House today, the receipt is there. When they built the premier's lodge in Kaduna, the man said it was too much for somebody like him to live in. Shehu Shagari, till the coup happened, Tafawa Balewa's mom visited him in Lagos. She got tired of staying in Lagos. She wanted to come back to Kaduna. And Shehu Shagari, who was the parliamentary secretary to the prime minister, put her in the official jet and brought her to Kaduna. When she arrived Kaduna, when they told the prime minister, he sacked Shehu Shagari and said his mother was not a government official. They had to plead, and Shagari was paying for that trip from his salary until the military struck and took over government. We had values, and you could replicate this statement with what happened to the origin when Awolowo introduced free education. He knew that it will cost. It will cost the Western Nigerian government some money, quantum of money, which today's leadership would have rather stolen than spend it on free education for other people's children. We lost our values, and those values were eroded over time because, of course, like I said, we began to worship wealth. The moment you start worshiping wealth, you are in trouble. So my brother, it's a loss of values. When I was growing up, I don't know if you, when I was growing up, there was a woman in our village. She sells fruits. She will go and put those fruits on the roadside, count stones to represent the cost, and put by the side of each pack of fruits, and go back home and be cooking. People will come and buy, drop their money. This is not story. This has happened in my village. Drop the money, count the stones, and drop the money equivalent, and take their fruits and go. Nobody stole her money. Nobody took the fruits without paying. We were like that. So please, sir, we've eroded our values. We've eroded our values, and we have become too ostentatious. We have become too materialistic. We have become too uncompassionate. We don't care. When we were growing up, I don't know if you, but when I was growing up, anything that happens to a neighbor happens to the entire neighborhood. We all rejoice together. We all, fought adversity together. Today, everybody is on his own. So please, sir, we have actually lost our own values. But then let me tell you, Solution Nigeria. You said Solution Nigeria, and let me give you Solution Nigeria. What can we do to exit our current situation? Number one, most importantly, the constitution we have today is not a constitution that can develop any country in the world. This constitution, for me, is not just a conspiracy against the people of the country. This constitution that we have today is a constitution that is purposefully imposed on the Nigerian people by the ruling elite for their own benefit. I give you an example. Anytime you pick that constitution, read part 2, fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. Go and read that part. That part is the only part of that constitution that actually vests responsibility in leadership and vests rights on the people. But that part of the constitution, fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, that part is not justiciable. So the whole part of the constitution that gave government responsibility, you must provide this, you must do this, you must do this for the people, it's very clearly spelled. That part of it is not justiciable. So you must provide this, but if you don't provide it, there's nowhere anybody can go to ask you to provide it. What kind of fraud against the people is that? So if we don't change this constitution that emphasizes too much on entitlements for leadership and very little of responsibility on the part of leadership, we will not move anywhere. Solution number one, do away with this constitution. Bring a constitution that ensures that when people are given positions of leadership, that leadership must come with a responsibility. Leadership is not a title, it's a responsibility. And if you do not discharge that responsibility as determined by the system, you should be held accountable. That is number one problem. Now, the number two solution we need is that we must together, insist that there should be institutions. No country develops where you have powerful individuals pretending over weak institutions that cannot protect anything, institutions that are determined by the nature of the individuals at the head of those institutions. What kind of institution do you, how can you develop a system where the institutional framework is weak, but the people presiding over the institutional framework are so powerful, so strong, that every other thing that you can think of does not work in Nigeria? You even have a democracy that is just a shadow of itself. You have political parties that have no purpose. You cannot tell me two governors of the same political party that are doing the same thing. You cannot tell me two assembly elected people, National Assembly or anybody that are doing the same thing because they come from the same party, because the party has a manifesto and the party has a monitoring mechanism. You cannot tell me in the entire political system, there is no institution that ensures that citizens' oversight is protected. So that's number two. We need to build powerful institutions and then reduce the powers of individuals to the extent that the people themselves can oversight the people in authority. I give you a very, very interesting information. We had, on the wake of this crisis we're having with the US government, our delegation went to America and met. And our delegation, the American delegation, came to Nigeria to meet with our own delegation. Everything we have heard about these meetings and these delegations, everything, and I mean everything that we have heard so far, is based on what the Americans have told us. Our own government did not tell us anything. That these are the outcome of our meeting in the US, lie. These are the outcome of our meeting in Nigeria, lie. Because leadership in this country believes they're not accountable to the people. And because leadership is not accountable to the people have no means, institutional means, to enforce this accountability. Citizens' oversight is nearly absent. Even the civil society groups, they're just struggling, but there's no citizen oversight. So we need powerful institutions, with less powerful individuals, so that institutions can drive the process of leadership rather than individuals doing it according to their whims and caprices, building institutions according to their own image, and then limiting the performance of institutions to their own incapacity. Now, the third one is we need to address corruption. But the way we would address corruption should be in the manner that the Nigerian state refused to address corruption. And I'll tell you that manner. Since 1999 till date, there is a draft law in the National Assembly called the Proceed of Crimes Law. The National Assembly has refused to pass it. The reason is simple. Instead of the state or state institutions, EFCC, ICPC, are trying to prove that you have stolen money, why can't we reverse it? Why is it not going to be that the onus to prove that the properties you have were legitimately acquired? Since you can flout those properties, you are earning 400 and something thousand a month, and you are riding a 160 million naira car. Everybody sees you. You come with it to the office, you pack it. You go after work, you go. Okay, tell us, how were you able to get 160 something million naira car with the salary that you receive? Tell us. Somebody, I know of many government officials in Abuja who have large estates. How did they come about those estates? Why can't we change the law to say the onus of proving that you acquired these things legitimately is on you? So we now, that law has not been passed anywhere, because the people who are supposed to pass the law understand that it will catch up with them. So if we want to end corruption in Nigeria, the onus of proving that the resources that are at your disposal were legitimately acquired should be on you, rather than on government to prove that you got it in. And then lastly, I said four, just four. And lastly, we need serious value reorientation. We need to enforce positive values. We need to hold people, individuals too, accountable. I am from the north, and anytime I see an almajiri with a begging ball, my sense of failure comes to me directly. Any Almajiri child you see carrying a bugging ball in northern Nigeria is a collective failure of the northern ruling elite. Why can't we return back to the fact that parents must take responsibility for the children they give birth to? Why do we allow a situation where we have a large number, an army of out of school children roaming the streets, growing up to a reservoir for the recruitment of every social miscreant in Nigeria? They're walking in the street, and we watch our government organize mass weddings and assume that that is an achievement. Mass wedding to produce mass children, throw them in the streets again, and we still think that all is normal. We think everything is okay. Why would somebody give birth to children that he cannot take care of? Why would a child, any child in this world, grow up unloved? No father, no mother, no sibling, no aunties. He gets sick. He gets well under the rain, under the sun, with so much disdain and dislike. And you think that if anybody comes to him with an idea of going to take up arms as a non-state actor to carry out some dastardly acts, you think he would think twice? So we need to reorient ourselves, reorient our system. We need to develop social, economic, and political values that are beyond the current transactional relationship that we have, that people should not, we must find a way to ensure that people do not think that going to vote in an election is an avenue to collect some peanuts. We need total value reorientation. And if we don't do that, again, we will have some difficulty. So my brother, in summary, we can do 4 things. If we do those 4 things, we can improve. I'm not saying they are the only things. I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable person. I have had experiences, and I told you, I've had experiences, and I speak in the public space. If I were bad, if I had skeletons in my cupboard, certain things I say in public space, I can't say them. I can't say them. If my conscience will not allow me to say them. But I am telling you that if we don't change the framework of our constitution to make the constitution, hold leader, devolve more responsibilities on our leaders, reduce this humongous sense of entitlement, and then hold them accountable for what they do in office, we will not succeed. If we do not build powerful institutions that can checkmate our leaders, can checkmate even our citizens, can make wrong to be wrong, right to be right, regardless of who is there. If we do not have such institutions and we have people who are presiding over weak institutions, we will not succeed. If we do not address corruption in a very practical manner, not by just word of mouth, but address corruption in a manner that ensures that the corrupt person should be the one to prove that the assets he parades himself, the fat bank account, is legitimately earned. If you do not do that, you will not tackle corruption. If you think that somebody can steal 100 million naira or 1 billion naira, and then you do plea bargain, and he gets a slap on the wrist, and then do it, the young person that is watching him is also looking for an opportunity to do the same. And of course, if we do not reorient ourselves, return ourselves to some of the finest family values that we had before, some of the finest societal values that we had before. If we do not go back to proper parenting, if we do not go back to addressing the gaps in our relationship, if we do not reduce the high level of transactional relationship that we have in politics, in governance, in economy, in social cycles, we are in trouble. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you, participants.
Thank you so much for that very passionate, clear, well elucidated points of view. And the 4 points that you have raised, and of course you said is not exhaustive. But I want to take you up on a few things. And if you have a pen, you can make your notes so that you can answer them all at once together. After which I'm going to be opening up the floor for our participants to ask their own questions and asking Jumoke to conduct that. But I have my own questions and clarifications I'd like you to make first. Number one, you've mentioned the four things we need to do. But you know that what we try to do here on ALG is to give what the citizen, the ordinary person on the platform can do to effect change in this country, or how they can do it to compel government to do what they need to do. These things that you have said, the only challenge I have is who is going to do it? Who is going to ensure that we change our constitution? The people who should do it are perhaps the biggest beneficiaries of this lopsided constitution that was imposed on us by Abdul Salami government in the dark when we didn't know what they were doing, and Nigerians did not sit together to develop this constitution. So even the process of producing the constitution is totally flawed. You cannot have a military imposed constitution on a populace. It's not a constitution, it's just a draft agreement between the military or the government and its people, which no citizen of Nigeria has been part of or signed to. So the only legitimate constitution we still should have in Nigeria today is the 1959 or whatever constitution, maybe they call it McPherson constitution. So that's number one. Who is going to build institutions? The same people who destroyed them, who made sure that the institutions were weakened, the people who have destroyed the judiciary, the people who have destroyed our educational system, the people who have made sure that it is almost impossible in Nigeria today to have a voice or even have an opposition party in power. So who will build it? What can the average citizen do to build that institution? Number two, I think that one of the problems of Nigeria is the military incursion into our governance. They came in by the barrel of the gun and they ruled by decree, and they did away with the basis on which Nigeria was established, and then they created their own Nigeria and of course began to put in systems that encourage corruption. Number three, the gentleman who spoke to us last week also said that the colonial masters, the British, maybe somehow deliberately laid a bad foundation for the emancipation, for the development of Nigeria. They created a lopsided, what you may call, census. They created a constitutional assembly that gave advantage to a particular sector of the economy. And I don't know if you are Fulani or not, but what he said was that the country was sort of handed over or made, Fulanis were given some kind of advantage in terms of leadership. And that has created an imbalance in our polity. Also, the non-secularization or non-secularity of Nigeria. So why should Nigeria be a member of OIC when we did not say officially that we're an Islamic state? And the imposition in this same constitution of Islamic law, which shouldn't really be, since there's no imposition of any other kind of religion in Nigeria. It says that for you to be an Islamic state, you must have Islamic jurisprudence or law or Islamic notation in your constitution, and that it's only Islamic things that are in the constitution. And therefore, it creates also some kind of imbalance. You know, I think some other person also said that a country where you have two sets of laws that people can go up to makes it very difficult, and this issue of Sharia and all that. So he gave those things. I don't know what your thoughts are on those things. Number one, who is going to cause this change that you have mentioned? The people who are benefiting from it, the governors who are not accountable to anybody because they have security votes, the members of the houses that are enjoying big bonuses and their benefit from this constitution, how are they going to effect that change? Number two, the British foundation that they laid, the lopsidedness they seem to have created in this country, even the fact that Nigeria as an entity was forced on us. Nobody asked us to come and gather together to be Nigerians. So the ethos of nationalism, the ethos of national value, the ethos that make us a nation, the ethos of the Nigerian dream has not really been wielded together with one common vision, even in a federating state. And then the issue of the federalism, the federating states itself, each state developing according to its capacity and resource, the issue of resource control and things like that. Then also this issue of Sharia, this issue of Fulani dominance and things like that have made it very difficult for Nigerians to operate together on a level playing field. But I think critically, Nigerians haven't come together to determine how they want to go forward together or whatever it is. I don't know if you have any response to those thoughts that I've put out there from various pieces of people who have had conversations on this platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful. Yeah, what can the citizens do? I tell you that the more I hear that our citizens are hopeless and despondent, the more I feel sad. I've had, a history of struggle all my life. I've never given up. I've never given up. And it might interest you to know that I started life as an almajiri with a begging ball in the street. I struggled. I liberated myself from that situation. I got myself educated through dint of struggle. I have never given up. And for as long as you give up, I told you, I became a commissioner, not by the passage of the House of Assembly, but by the fact that the Constitution says House of Assembly cannot keep your name without a return for a certain number of days. And the only reason they kept my name was that I was too honest to be a commissioner. In Hausa, they say Hana Ruagudu, means he will not allow water to pass under the bridge. So I have been a struggler all my life. I've always believed in the power of the individual to do whatever he likes. Let me tell you, our first failure as a people is that we have refused to accept that Nigeria is made up of only two tribes. The tribe of the rich and powerful, connected and in synergy, working with each other, and the tribe of the poor, despondent, and dispossessed, who do not understand each other, who are fighting each other every day, believing that we are different tribes, we are different religions, we are different people, whereas the very people who are beneficiaries of all the things that we complain about do not portray these differences in their cycles. So the first thing we need to do is to begin to realize that, look, all the differences we've been promoting, they're not germane to changing our lives, because we will continue to fight each other as people of different religions, people of different tribes, people of different regions, while the very people that are making life very difficult for us, the leadership that we are getting, are leadership that do not care. I have seen, and I have not seen anywhere in this country since 1999 to date, where Musa has been sent to go and become chairman in Rivers State, or Tamurokro Wefe has been sent to Yola to come and be our chairman. We are all the ones ruling ourselves in our different enclaves. And there's no model in this country. You can't show me one place where there is a model of leadership because the people are different from the other people. What's the difference between the average, say, Fulani man that you're complaining about to the average, Igbo man or Ikwere man or anybody, anywhere? Their lifestyles in leadership are the same. Their sense of entitlements are the same. Their rep on the common resources of our country is the same. And they're friends. They attend each other's events. They don't even remember all these differences when they sit together. So for as long as we as citizens are divided into cleverages, we are divided into groups, we're divided into different people, the people who are benefiting from those divisions will continue to fund the members of the divisions. And here we are. There is nobody in this country that comes from any of the tribes or religions that was given a 160 something million naira vehicle at the National Assembly and said, no, I don't need it. I cannot collect 150 something million naira vehicle when there is no drinking water in my constituency or my village. When one of the top members of the National Assembly voted money to buy 2 billion naira to buy deep freezers for his constituency, I went to national television. I told him, I said, his constituency has no power. Are they going to power the deep freezers with firewood? He ordered for my arrest and things. Look, why can't we ask the right questions? We cannot, because he's our son. So our son can do whatever he likes. We have divided ourselves. We are the ones. We must unite around our common suffering as ordinary people. If as ordinary people we continue to fund the members of division amongst ourselves, we see ourselves as differently. Of course, the leadership will continue to divide us and then bring in and hoist themselves. Today, they have gone from making themselves leaders to now gradually creating hegemonies, moving from father to child, from father to wife, from husband to wife, from brother to brother. They continue. The same spoiled brats brought up by people who have been raping this country are today anchoring themselves to continue the leadership. Because, of course, anytime they come to you, they tell you, oh, the other guy is Hausa, the other guy is Igbo, the other guy is Yoruba, is Shekiri, is Kanuri. And that's how we accept. Okay, we are fighting each other while they are benefiting. They are piling and piling and piling their entitlements. They are raping and raping and raping our resources. So I tell you, for us, if we really want to change this country, we can change this country. We can change this country. We can start by changing ourselves. We can start by looking at each other and believing that we have more in common than we have as differences. First and foremost, we are human. Today, we have even lost our humanity. People are killed. We don't even see it as appalling because we have lost our humanity. So I want to tell you that your first destiny is that what we can do is let us begin to interrogate ourselves and ask ourselves, what are all these divisions that we are promoting? How are they actually helping us in trying to couple a better society? The military, I am one of those people that believe that, look, just like we keep blaming the colonialists, now we are blaming the military. My brother, colonialists left us since 1960. By the time they left us, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, all of these ones too had their own colonial experiences. So they left them. Today they are where they are. India was also colonized though. To some extent, China too also was at one time invaded and colonized though. America was a colonized country before the Boston Tea Party and all that 1776. Most people who were colonized have already removed the toga of colonialism and stopped complaining about colonialism and looking inward how to improve their own countries. We're still talking. Military left us 1999. By today, it's about 20-something years, 26 or so years post-military. And we have still not found our act. We're still blaming military. No, my brother. We need to start talking to ourselves. Where have we gotten it wrong? And where we got it wrong is in our leadership recruitment. Where our leadership recruitment got us wrong is because we allowed first materialism to determine what we do in our life. Who we select will be determined by how much money the person has. And secondly, we have allowed divisions that are unnecessary to take over. We are divided into Christians, Muslims, enemies. We are divided into Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Kanuri. But at the core of it, there is no one leader. He could be Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, anywhere in this country that is a model leader. There is no section of this country that's a model. I can recall very well that when you say Awolowo was a good leader, you could say yes, because he laid the foundation for free education, and today the Southwest is ahead of all other regions in the country in terms of education and knowledge. That you can say. Tell me what you can say about the present crop of leaders anywhere in this country. So please, military, they have left us long ago. Colonial masters, they have left us long ago. We either put our acts together or we continue. Whenever I hear the Fulani has dominated, my brother, some of the poorest, some of the dispossessed people in this country are the Fulanis. In fact, the Fulanis are even landless. And some of these cattle herders that you see, they don't even have religion. What people don't know is that they have a creed amongst the Fulbe that you do not start worshiping God before age 40. So even salvation, most of them don't have. What is the dominance of a few elites who are conniving with their fellow elites to steal, to cheat, to skew systems in their favor? What does it mean to the average ordinary Nigerian? Are we talking about ourselves, or we're talking about ordinary Nigerians? For more than 60% of Nigerians, I can tell you this from a research project I was part of, more than 60% of Nigerians do not have something as simple as toilet. We just breed in poverty. No toilet, no water, no electricity, nothing, no education. And then we tell somebody that he has dominated the country. Dominated the country, he cannot send his child to school, he cannot take himself to hospital, he doesn't have anything. No. Now, people are talking about secularism. Well, everybody is entitled to his own point of view. I'm a Muslim, and I have no pretense about it. I'm a Muslim. And sometimes I look at the situation, who is even practicing Sharia in this country? Because the Sharia, the political Sharia that you are complaining about, for us, a lot of us Muslims want it off, because it doesn't serve the interest. The first and most important rule under an Islamic system is that you must provide for every citizen, because begging is haram. But who are the beggars in this country? Muslims. Why are they begging? Because they have not been provided for. The first rule, or Islamic rule, is that the ruler who sleeps with a belly full while his citizens are hungry, or his neighbors even are hungry, has violated Sharia. How many of our leaders eat 10-course meal, not even 3? While a large number of our citizens who are Muslims are hungry. So please, on one side, a group approached me. What they were asking me is that we should start writing. Yes, they said this country is secular. Why is it that school holidays coincide with Christmas and Easter? Why are they not doing this? I mean, so everybody looks at it from me. I don't care. I don't care what you do. If you really believe in your own religion, there is no way you can sleep with a full belly and you are the adherents of your religion that you are being accused of favoring are sleeping hungry. Now, we're talking about leadership accountability. How can leadership be accountable? How can governors be accountable? How can National Assembly be accountable? How can anybody be accountable? When you have a system, you have a constitution, you have a system that says, everybody that with any executive authority in his hands is an emperor. We need to deconstruct that. We need to start questioning. We need to start putting levers in our system to ensure that at least if there's even citizen oversight. Okay, I ask you a question. They said the National Assembly and the State Assembly should oversight the president and the governor. Now tell me, who oversights members of the National Assembly? Who oversights members of the State House of Assembly? What kind of democratic system is that? They come to Abuja here from where all our constituencies, collect money from the leadership of the country, pass laws that are of no value to the ordinary people, and nobody can hold them accountable. And then you sit down and you begin to talk about leadership accountability. How can you have leadership accountability without citizens' oversight? Now, Nigeria was forced on us. Yes, your own is even better. My own, I experienced four colonial regimes. The area where I come from was first a German territory. Later, it became a French territory. Later, it became a League of Nations territory. Later, it became a United Nations territory. Before we had an election and we became a Nigerian territory. 4 or 5 different types of colonial experiences we had. Nigeria made promises for us when we voted for Nigeria. None of these promises was fulfilled. Yet no Nigerian is talking about the breach of promise made to my people. No Nigerian is talking about the difficulties that we face as a people. Even when Boko Haram entered our area, entered our homes and drove us off, how many Nigerians complained that these people whose land was taken over, Nigeria should help them recover? Nobody. So we're just being very selective, even in our complaints. This. Now, you're talking about states. Look, we started with 3 regions. Then there was a 4th one, Midwest. Then we became 12. We became 19, 21, 30, 36. At every point in time, people cry of marginalization. You give them a state. Okay. When we were in northern Nigeria, this I know, and I can say for certain. When we were in northern Nigeria, the Kanuris were agitating that the Hausa the Hausas and the Fulanis have loaded over them. The Tiv were crying that the Hausas and the Fulanis have become overloads on them. Since they created Benue State, did the Tiv allow Idoma man to become governor? Did the Kanuri allow a Biu man, Buraman from Biu, to become governor? We're just talking marginalization. We have about nearly 100 requests for state in the National Assembly. All of them are talking about marginalization. Nobody is talking about equity, fairness, and justice, because these are the core values upon which dynamic and progressive societies are built. Fairness, equity, justice, and inclusion. Bring man, bring woman, bring people living with special needs. Create a society that takes care of everybody's interest. Create a society where somebody can become anybody without knowing anybody. But we're talking about my tribe has been marginalized. Okay, go and rule yourself. When you go there again, you marginalize other tribes. I mean, the issues are whatever. Issues of we developing at our pace and holding on to our resources. I honestly don't have any beef with that. We can go ahead. We can go ahead and devolve more powers to the constituent units. Each and every part of this country is richly blessed. It's the laziness and the lack of vision and lack of capacity and the greed of our leadership that has made us where we are. I say it with all sense of responsibility, that there is enough in this country for all our needs, but there can never be enough for our greed. And it is the greed of the leadership that has made it impossible for us to have enough for all of our needs. I hope I have answered your question. The one I have not answered, please forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The one you have not answered, the Holy Spirit will answer for us. Amen. Right. We're going to go into questions now, and I'm going to be asking my colleague, Jumoke, to take those questions. She's here on this thing, but I'm going to ask my final question with Jumoke's permission. And that is, are you going to run for political office? And if you are, what office are you going to run for? Thank you.
That's interesting. But let me tell you, I feel that I am too old to run for any political office. I'm an honest person. I believe that when God gives you an opportunity to dance on the stage and you finish your steps, you should pull back. The thing that we have failed to do, which we ought to be doing, I and you and people like us, is to mentor younger people. God, in His infinite mercy, had given me an opportunity. I have mentored quite a number of younger people, including my own biological children, and I think each and every one of those people that I have mentored is fit and proper. What my old bones require is actually to start stepping back gradually and be resting. I have had opportunities, not for election, but to be given appointments 2 or 3 times. I rejected on the grounds that my principles would not allow me work in that kind of environment. And now I have been given certain appointment that I said, for my age, you should look for somebody younger, somebody who can, who has the strength, the dynamism, and the fire that drives, a process of delivering on services. No, I'm not contesting for any position. Somebody had offered to even pay for everything I want to do, but I'm not ready to contest. I really want to start stepping back. If there's anything I want to do at this final phase of my life, is to start writing books. And I must tell you that I want to participate in this process of reorientation by delivering lectures, by writing, by talking, by telling people that so much of the things that we even bother about are just not the things that we should bother about. For example, I give you an example. Just because you said, we're starting in Jesus' name, or Holy Spirit will carry on from here, should that anger me as a Muslim? No, because I believe you're talking about the God that I worship. And if we all have that kind of mindset, we would not have problems because we're not a different people. My greatest joy is not that I am made this or that. My greatest joy is that God, in His infinite mercy, found me worthy to be created a human being. He had the power. He still has the power to have created me a goat, to have created me chicken, to have created me a dog, to have created me a cow or anything. But He created me a human being. And my humanity is my greatest advantage.
Thank you very much. Me, I'm happy you didn't create you any other thing than a human being. But we'll be talking to you, my dear brother, because this area of orientation and reorientation is one of the things on our hearts, and is one of the, one of the tools that will help Nigeria. Jumoke, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for this very insightful conversation. We have a couple of hands up, but I have a couple of follow-up questions, if you don't mind. And the way we usually do this is we take 3 questions together, and then you address them as a group. And then the ones, maybe if you forget, I would follow up with you. But I just wanted to follow up on one of your comments, which is the number of out-of-school children in the North and the issue of insecurity in the country. No matter how many 10-point agenda or strategies we put on the table to solve Nigeria's problem, if we do not address insecurity, everything else is just good on the plan. And You talked about the Alamanjaris and the kids that are begging. I think there are like 20 million of them, the number we have. And these are feeders for the bandits, the terrorists, and the Islamist extremists. How is the northern elites, maybe not the northern elites, but I'm not hearing a lot of outcry from the north on this out of school children, and even strategies to try to educate these students, so that, I mean, these kids, so that they do not become feeders for the bandits and the and Boko Haram. That's one question. And then the second question is on the you spoke very well. So there's a school of thoughts that you're coming from. There's some kind of foundation that you have that has given you this this mindset. Why isn't this common across the North? I just wanted to, those are my two questions, and then I'll open it up for participants. Are you still here, sir?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. So those are my two questions.
Okay. Should I answer them or wait for the third
Yes.
question?
If you can answer those, or do you want me to take a third one? I was going to go to the participants, but you can answer mine, and then I'll take the participants.
Let me answer you.
Thank you.
Let me answer you. Okay, number one, the out-of-school children. The first thing is that the out-of-school children were around 10-point-something million. Then suddenly UNESCO changed the parameters. It used to be only children of basic school age, but now it is children of basic and secondary school age. And that's why it rose immediately, the number rose to like 20-point-something million. And not all of them are actually Almajiris, but Almajiris constitute the larger majority. And I must tell you that there is no way you can solve the insecurity that we face without solving the issue of the Almajiri. The connect is very, very clear and glaring. I handled it at a level, in governance, so I know. I served as a member of the Security Council in my state for 4 years. I know exactly where the connect is, and I have I've handled the issue of IDP camps. I had 26 IDP camps when I was given charge of IDP camps. I closed them down to like the remaining only 4. And I know the strategies I went through, I know what I did, and I know the data and statistics that I was able to harvest doing that. I also went as far as to Cameroon, to Marwa, Dumont, Ngaoundé, Gider, to find out how many Nigerians are there who are run away, and I've interfaced with them. So I know exactly what's happening. But I must tell you that, one of the serious issues that we're facing with this insecurity is that there's a nexus of evil forces, which the government itself is not addressing adequately. These evil forces are not inside us as we seem to assume. You look at Boko Haram on one side, you look at bandits on the other side, you look at kidnappers, you look at Mahmudawa or the Ansaru in the North Central, you look at the farmer herders, and you think that they are all operating differently. They are not. They are operating exactly in synergy. They know those amongst them that are responsible for weapons handling training. They know those amongst them that are responsible for acquisition of arms. They know those of them that are responsible for money laundering. They know they work together. And because we as a system are not actually, approaching this issue from that perspective, perhaps that's why it is. And no doubt about it, the out of school children, the Almajiri children, to which I was once a member, so something I understand. I was a participant in the process. The Almajiri system is a reservoir, it's a ready reservoir. You cannot grow up without the love of parents, without the love of aunties, uncles, without the love of brothers, sisters, without the love of cousins, without anybody caring for you in society, and you grow up and you become compassionate. You have what fear of God would you have? What happens to you? You have to beg to eat, and most times while you are begging, nobody gives you food to eat, and you think that would not make you feel some level of hate towards society. So I think we must address it, and the best way to address the Almajiri system is to start holding parents who give birth to children accountable, responsible for their children. As to whether other people are holding the same view in the north, I tell you, we have different groups in northern Nigeria. The only thing is that, sometimes it's not a media thing. By the time you continuously, for me, even when I was commissioner, I had no portrait. I don't like drawing attention to myself. I would rather draw attention to what I do rather than to myself. A lot of people today do things so that they can have followers, they can have views, they can become influencers. I don't want to be anybody's influencer. I want to succeed. I want to do things that I have taken out so many Almajiris and so many orphans off the street, given them a new lease of life, change their narrative, just like God has changed my own narrative in life. But I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to have followers so that I can get adverts on social media. That is not my goal. A lot of people think that if you are not on the social media, if you are not in the media space, if you are not, earning points in that direction, that you are not doing anything. Madam, we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot, and there are a number of us that are doing a lot, but there is a huge quantum of complacency. The real predator ruling elite are happy these things are happening, because it then means that their children have no competition and that they can transfer power from themselves to their children, to their wives, to their brothers, to their sisters, to their whoever that they feel. So if you empower northern populations, they will not be able to do that very well. And it's not only in the north, even in the south, they've started it. Go and check. Check your members of House of Assembly. Check your members of National Assembly. Check your commissioners. Check all of them. They are children of the people that have been ruling you before. So for this hegemony to survive, for this hegemony to continue, these people must continue to have a large army of people who do not have hope in life.
Thank you so much, sir. I have other questions, but I'm going to open it up for participants. We have Mr. Boniface Chieze, we have Auntie Yemisi and Professor Grange. And the way this works, I'll put up a timer. It's for 1 minute and 30 seconds. And the sound will go off. We are almost up on time. And so we'll take the first hand. Good evening, Mr. Boniface. We've asked you to unmute, so please go ahead and ask your question. Go ahead, sir. Okay, try unmuting now.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you very much. Well, congratulations to the gentleman that spoke. They spoke from a place of knowledge, deep knowledge. But as usual, I just want to make some little comments. I keep on going back to the fact that we need to address critically leadership selection. It's key. All these issues is raised and so on and so forth is because of the leadership we have. Let's not make any bones about that. Until and unless we can get the leadership selection process right, we won't make any progress. So we must accept that. Now, the civil society organizations, they are doing quite well. We need more of action in that direction. So let me say that. The other point I want to make quickly is that I saw a document in circulation that talks about really having a true federation, which we don't have. Giving more power to the states. Recently, I saw it, but sometimes in social media, you're a bit circumspect, you accept things with a pinch of salt. But it talks about the thing that resonated with me. We need to devolve power massively to the sub-national governments. There's no two about that. We have to do that. and made them a bit more autonomous. I don't know if I can continue, but Jumoke, maybe I'll leave it here. But I think that
I'll
for me,
give you 30 seconds more, sir.
okay, okay. So so the that I talked about this. The other point I want to make is that there's some glimmer of light. I see some silver lining with the shadow of this accusation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern coming from America. I think that's something that we are looking forward to. But our people are not being open with us. All the information we get on this matter, discussions and so on and so forth, are coming from Americans. So I think that has to be pursued. Said it here, that they know the sponsors. They are arresting the sponsors of these terrorists. They should begin to block them, begin to deny them access. Saying those. But having said that, we mustn't give up on Nigeria. We don't have any other country to call our own. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Auntie Yemisi, please go ahead. I think you are able to unmute. Please go ahead and unmute.
Okay, thank you. I have unmuted. Thank you so much, Jumoke and Pastor Itua and the wonderful gentleman that spoke and gave us a real insight into the picture and the experiences he has had in public life and in the north, particularly in the northern part of Nigeria. My question is a little like a follow-up to what you asked earlier on, Jumoke. And when I heard about the Almajiris and them being a real source of concern regarding this insecurity and other developmental issues, what came to my mind is what are the northern elites, the structures in the northern part of Nigeria doing about the role of women in governance? Because before you can get an Almajiri, you must have a woman that's giving birth to these young children. So I'd like to hear more from the speaker about what he thinks about what women can do in the governance structure, in the educational systems, because if you do not massively educate your people, then the kind of results we're getting are going to be what we continue to get. And the focus is on the north, because that is the area we think that the role of women is not as as strong as it should be, and the educational structure that will propel development and mitigate against insecurity is not as well structured as it should be. Thank you very much. I've kept to time. Thank you very much.
30 seconds to your time. Okay. So I didn't want to be partial.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Mommy Grange, with your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have really enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it because it's from the perspective of having had experience in government everywhere. I mean, and what sort of hits me is the fact that, you are actually demanding that people should be humble. It's the humility in you that has made you a successful leader. At the same time, because of the humility, you be taken for granted. Many of us are like that, we go in as leaders, humble, etc., but we are taken for granted and we are not allowed to be effective. So the other part that I want to talk about is what the last speaker, my sister, talked about. That is the role of women. Again, Sharia seems to have weaponized the lack of inclusion of women in not only, not only in ruling, not only in leadership position, but even as mothers. They are not empowered to be able to bring up their children. And hence, those children are taken away from them and sent out into as almajiris. I mean, what, if the women were empowered, they could not have allowed those children to go from them. So I want your honest opinion on how we can tackle that area. Because education begins at home. Education begins from home. And, what has happened in the South is that at least many of our mothers have adopted, they have accepted the fact that they will be co-parents in the home, they will be co-breadwinners, many of them, and they need to demand to be empowered, for playing that role.
Thank you,
So I want, please, can you just enlighten us a bit about how we are going to change what is happening in the North with regards to education of women, and not just in schools, but empowering them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you.
Then I will read some questions or comments from the chat to you after this. So go ahead, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly just give responses. First, Boniface, leadership recruitment. For as long as your leadership recruitment is transactional and it requires a godfather, it requires is hegemonic, people will want only the people affiliated to them or related to them. You can't change anything. That's what we need to attack. We need to refuse to accept that everything in Nigeria should be transactional. And unfortunately, God gives us an opportunity and we throw it away. Somebody was riding Okada, and then the wind of the Labour Party came and made him a member of the National Assembly. When he came to Abuja, the first thing he did was to request for the same thing other members of National Assembly were requesting, to behave the same way other members were behaving, and eventually he even left the Labour Party that gave him an opportunity when he had no money and went to another party. You can't get it right until we are able to, if that guy had sustained the fact that he had nothing, and then God in his infinite mercy made it possible through a group of people, an electorate that said we don't need money to make somebody our leader, and then he comes here and provides leadership that is different, then there would have been models in other places. But we do not even have models. People get, if we don't deconstruct this transactional system of leadership recruitment, we will not go anywhere. If we do not challenge the powers of godfathers to impose godsons or actual sons on us, we would not go anywhere. Devolution of power. Devolution of power is very good. But let me give you an example of what happened in my state. In my state, the moment they said local government autonomy, all the money for the local government was given to local government chairmen. The first thing they did was to send their wives on leadership workshop in Turkey. And the next thing they did was to ask all the members of House of Assembly to go to China sightseeing. Whether you devolve power or you don't devolve power, if the system does not recognize the needs of human development, developing people, we will still remain the way we are. You give them more money, you devolve more powers, you give them more money, and then they become more reckless, they become more greedy. Every time you hear that the power grid in Nigeria has collapsed, it is in order to service the greed of certain individuals within the system. So too much greed. There's no devolution of power that can change that. And then, if we like, we can even break this country to pieces. For as long as we are breaking the country and breaking the contradictions and plugging them like putting something in pigeonholes in all the different constituents, is the same systems that will operate in those places. I told you before, and I'm saying it, show me one model leadership in Nigeria, anywhere in this country. So that's it. My sister Yemisi, I served for 4 years at the headquarters of the National Council of Women Societies. In fact, President Obasanjo used to call me Balogun Obirin of Nigeria. I still don't know what that means, but I want to tell you that I have a huge quantum of knowledge about these women issues. Truly, the northern elite, including my good self, have a huge quantum of deficit. I am not saying so because my wife educated my wife to a level that she's a chartered accountant. We're sharing responsibilities for running our home, and I'm happy. And because of that, I know the benefit that my children enjoyed because they grew up under a home where both father and mother are educated. And so all of them are educated, and I thank God for that. But I'm trying to tell you that, in all honesty, we need to focus seriously on our women. I still believe that if we do not involve our women in our development process, not even in northern Nigeria, in the entire country, this issue of governance that you elect, maybe 5% of members of National Assembly are women, it doesn't work well. Just like we cannot clap with one hand, no society can grow with just men without women. And then, when you talk about Prof, thank you very much for all your compliment. But let me tell you, my first challenge in life was with my family. When I got my first public office and I decided I was going to be very honest, I had the first backlash was from my family. My family disliked me. My family hated me. My family challenged me to the extent that at certain point in time, they were holding. I was second born in our family, but they were holding family meetings without inviting me. But it never dampened my spirit. I understand what it is, and I stood by it. For you to be a change agent, for you to be an honest person in this country, you have to have a lot of resilience. And I think for that, my skin is tougher than the shell of a tortoise. I don't feel, but we need to wake up and actually, but we also need to celebrate people who are good, people who are honest. Nobody celebrates them. I know I have not been celebrated because I have been honest. I don't receive awards because I can't give money to get awards in Nigeria. So I mean, even we don't do that. Anyway, Sharia, I again hold a different view about this Sharia. A lot of those that are opposed to Sharia in this country are doing it out of ignorance, not out of knowledge. Sharia gives women a very high position, of respect. But the practitioners of political Sharia are the ones that are undermining women. They are the ones that are undermining ordinary people. They are the ones that are undermining poor people. And we need to deconstruct the truth from the falsehood. Even those that are arguing, instead of arguing again, why can't we find out what is the position of a woman in an Islamic society, and then juxtapose it with the position of a Muslim woman in northern Nigeria or in other parts of Nigeria? You find that it's not, no. They're just misusing the Sharia like we're misusing everything. Even the Christian religion is being misused by people who use it to make money. So it's a misuse. It's not true that under a good Sharia system, an honest Sharia system, women are not supposed to be regarded as background. And I tell you, when Sheikh Usman Danfodio, did his jihad for whatever one's position on it was, Nana Asmau was one of the foremost scholars at that time. She still has books that are being studied in universities, not only in Nigeria, even outside Nigeria. So nobody says women should not be educated. Nobody says women should not participate in those things. They do, but an oppressive system is an oppressive system, and an oppressor is an oppressor. There is no rule that stops an oppressor from oppressing. In our constitution, even this flawed constitution that we have, there are certain things that protect the citizen, that protect the system, that the rulers who are very unmindful of this are violating. are trampling on, and there's nothing you can do about it. So please, the truth about it is that we're a lawless group of people. So anything we're doing is either political or just we're constructing something to our own advantage. And our ruling elite are masters of constructing anything they want to construct to their own advantage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We have 2 questions, and we definitely have to take this one from the engine room itself, the one that is behind NLS, and make sure it works. Pastor Lou Victor has his hand up, and then we also have Henry Kentebe. We'll take those 2 questions, and then I'll read out some questions from the chat room. Pastor Lou, please go ahead with your question, and then we would have Mr. Kentebe also with his question.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Our speaker today has really done justice to a whole lot of things. But this question has been bugging my mind for a while. I saw a video recently by an imam that was somebody was interviewing him about the things that are written in the Quran. And he was, reading them and, stating them vehemently that there are some portion in the Quran that they needed to be a good Muslim, you must implement. And those writings are not neighborly friendly at all. It's so offensive that I don't know how those writings make Islam a peaceful religion. Because some of them says everyone that is not a Muslim is an infidel, and an infidel must be hunted down, must be killed, must be beheaded. You cannot be their friend, they can't be your neighbor, things like that. And secondly, my second question is that should a secular country have 2 separate laws that are guiding their living? Like, why should we have Islamic law in some section of the country and we have secular law in the other part of the country? I would like our speaker to also enlighten us more about this. And also, before you answer this question, Sister Jumoke, Pastor, there's somebody that Pastor would like you to invite. Yeah, you've seen it. Please let our speaker answer this question. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. So please go ahead, sir. If you can respond to that, and then we'll call up Mr. Suleiman Yaya to speak. Mr. Kentebe, I'll call you up in a minute. I had gotten this from Mr. President, and so we'll have to call Mr. Suleiman Yaya up, and then I'll call you next, if you don't mind. Please go ahead, sir. Honorable.
Thank you very much. That video is fake. It's wrong. That guy is not an imam. He was not an imam anywhere. And secondly, the interpretation of the Quran is contextual. It's not the way he was interpreting it. We know it. I started as a Quranic student. I was a Quranic teacher before I went to formal schools, Western schools, and became what I became. That video is totally fake. It's a propaganda material, and well, the president can say whatever he likes. The bottom line is that in the same Quran, we have La ikraha fi din. There is no compulsion in religion. And that in the days of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Christians and Jews were visiting, and he was hosting them in the mosque and discussing with them. In fact, at some point, early Muslims, were protected by Christian kings and Christian scholars. And nobody had ever sent anybody to go and tell them you are an infidel. So there are contextual interpretations. and in all religions, perhaps that's why you have the Old Testament and the New Testament. All of these things are just propaganda. And for some of us that are Muslims, we feel very sad because we think that there is the huge quantum of joy out there to make us look bad, all of us. And I wonder where that is coming from. I grew up, in fact, I met somebody who was even telling me that we don't allow Christians to practice whatever. Look, I grew up spending a lot of time in the Catholic Church where I live. I knew about the grace more than 60 years ago. And I don't know where people get some of these things, but I don't. One thing I don't like is arguing religion based on ignorance, and a lot of the propaganda that is going on about Islam and about Muslims is so disturbing to those of us that we feel, well, anyway, anybody can hold his own views and anybody can start his own propaganda. We know what is happening. We know what is going on in the country and perhaps in the wider world. Some of these things are just sponsored to create that kind of, somebody posted it in a group where I belong, our old boys association. And we sat down, I said, look, I have sent it to so for fact checking. These are the truth about it. This guy will, in fact, even his interpretation were wrong. But what can you do? Everybody says, no, that's what the Quran says. So let them believe what they want to believe. But I'm telling you that thing was fake, that one was wrong, that was malicious. It's like me sponsoring somebody who knows next to nothing about the gospel to go and do interpretations and tell the world that this is what Christ said, when I know he did not say that. But that is that. Again, like Rafi did, that's Islam. There's no compulsion in religion, period.
Okay. We have two hands up, but I have a part B question to Pastor Olu's question, and you can take it with the other two questions. So why aren't a lot of clergy, the Islamic clergy, coming out to express the same position that you have just expressed? Because they're very silent on these things. So if you can just maybe add, include that as a part B question. Mr. Kentebe, please go ahead. Apologies, I was trying to call Mr. Suleiman. Yeah. If you're on, sir, please go ahead and speak. We've asked you to unmute. Mr. Suleiman,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me, and I have to appreciate Pastor for this grace. I joined late. I was listening to his summary where he was trying to summarize a perception regarding how the Fulanis were privileged, how Sharia is an impediment, or how we are living in one country with multiple systems. I think this is a key conversation that has distracted from the questions that was, what could we do differently to change Nigeria? But I think for the benefit of those that are not students of history or didn't do social science or don't understand Nigerian history, I should just pivot 2-3 facts. These are stylized facts. There is nothing we can do about it. We know that there was a Benin Empire which existed around 13th century, so perhaps 1,200 years ago. We also know that there was a civilization that preceded that, called the Kanem Borno Empire, which was 9th century, almost 1,400 years. Then you have the Songhai Empire, which was 1400. Then you had the Hausa states, which is about 10th century. These four civilizations are the precursors to the Sokoto Caliphate, and they were basically Islamic civilizations, from Songhai to Kanem to Hausa and to the Sokoto Caliphate. So the foundational base of what today is northern Nigeria, which pre-colonial was from Central Africa, Bangui, to Gambia, almost 2,700 kilometers width, and almost 900 kilometers from Niger Republic up to Oyo, was basically an Islamic civilization that was foisted by currents of history. And when the British, when jihad took place in 1804, it was just to reinforce and to reform the society, especially the Hausa states, which had over 800 years of statehood, 7 Hausa states, Zaria, Kano, whatever, the sort of history are familiar with, was a reformative process, wasn't introducing Islam. The society already was running Sharia system, they were running court system, they were running an emirate system, a kind of collegiate system. Then the British came in the 1900s. What they did was they said, listen, we don't want to uproot this society. We were in Sudan. We saw what happened trying to change the system. We were in India. We wanted to change the Mughal system. We saw what happened. Let us have an indirect rule for northern Nigeria. For the southern Nigeria, which was at different levels of development, let us have a direct system. The laws in the southern Nigeria at that time were basically customary laws. Let us keep them. The laws in the north were Sharia laws. Let us keep them. And let us introduce a central law to unify the country, which is called the common law. This is the foundational basis of society. So all the constitutional conferences that happened in the 50s and 60s, before 60s, the Macpherson, the Richardson, all those constitutional conferences recognize those differences. And that has been the driving force of the First Republic. The Northern position has always been, please, Southerners, understand us that we are a different society. We want to be part of this game, but we want to respect some of our conservative values, some of our traditional values, some of our historical values. The Southern states said, we are a new civilization. We are Western. We want to be part of this, and that was the basis for the foundation of Nigeria. So the 60s, there was no handover to Fulani. No, politics was a game of numbers and strategy. The MPC did an alliance with MPC to form a government, and that was how the North had the upper hand in the 60s. A lot of variance. Of course, there was division in the West because of the division in especially Southwest and what have you. But all this should not give any one of us who are especially post-independent Nigerians the rise on the tar to look at an ethnicity or a group or a civilization of a society and condemn them. I think it's very wrong. We should go back to history. We should educate our young people to respect differences. And what Nigeria needs today is a modernization strategy. I'm an economist. What we lack is a modernization strategy. And the first culprit that we must deal with is the issue of immunity. The last speaker alluded to that. Unless we remove this political immunity, this is the biggest elephant in the room that cannot allow us to have accountability, good governance. I'm a student of good governance. I have done a lot of work in Nigeria on good governance, from writing the codes on corporate governance to some of the biggest things that we've done in the country. The biggest challenge we've seen was immunity. We advised President Yaradua, and when he was doing his 7-point agenda, he made sure that he was unequivocal that there would be constitutional reviews on elections and on immunity. He wants to remove immunity. So what we should champion today, because no matter this level of corruption, if you look at the missing amount that has been announced by central bank auditors, 17 trillion. The securitization of 25 trillion. If you combine these two amounts, we are talking about lost revenues or incomes in Nigeria of close to $30 billion, which is even bigger than the so-called Abacha loot $6 billion. So the democracy today is sustained by significant state corruption, by state actors who do not want to change. And unfortunately, the division among Nigerians is on the basis of religion, on the basis of domination, on the basis of ethnicity, and on the basis of class. I think students of contemporary Nigerian politics should, that are well educated, should continue to disabuse the minds of the young people that to change Nigeria, we need to act, and we are not going to be acting against a particular ethnic group or a particular religion, but we must act in concert to have a modernized, reformed Nigeria. This is my contribution, and I'm willing to flesh these conversations because I know that this is impromptu. I was invited, and I didn't listen to the beginning of the conversation. So I thank you, Pastor Etua, for the privilege, and I'm available. I normally don't join this kind of conversation, but I'm available to contribute. I'm in the private sector. I'm available to share my thoughts, but I've worked with all the governments since Obasanjo regime to date. I've seen how governance is done at public level, and I've seen the weaknesses, and I've seen we've pivoted some solutions from Obasanjo regime to date. Some of them are being implemented, but the bigger questions will have remained unattended to, and that has to do with removing immunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution, for sharing your perspective. I'm sure Mr. President will follow up with you on another platform for you to speak to us. Mr. Kintebe, I must apologize sincerely for the delay. When Mr. President asks you to call on someone, you don't delay. So please go ahead, and I'm sure you'll forgive me for waiting to call you. Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's okay. Any sacrifice we make for Nigeria is not too much. Yeah, I want to thank Dr. Ahmad and Pastor Itua for creating this platform. And to also thank the last speaker that spoke before me just now. So I want to thank everybody for the contribution to Nigeria. So my question is actually like a comment, because I'm joining from Toronto, Ontario, and when I listen to Nigerians, political elite, or even the academic, it's a bit. I've been probably taken aback because sometimes probably because we don't even want to do peer review to know what we are going through. Because any problem we have in Nigeria, it's everybody is going through the same problem. Talk of corruption, talk of infrastructure, rule of law, and what have you. Everybody is struggling with it. But I find it so disturbing that we don't really do that peer review in terms of looking at what successful nations are doing and how we can copy them. And I'll give you a very good example. You cannot do anything in the developed society without database, without technology. And, it doesn't even come up as part of our solutions, as part of our headlines, And I don't know if we are not looking at trying to copy successful societies. I don't really get it. And I want to have a understanding of why we are thinking the way we are thinking. Hopefully our children are more digital in nature. Their thinking will be better than us, and we can have a better solution to the problem of Nigeria. The second comment is also like the same, the former one. It's about not measuring standard of living. In the developed society, everything you do is like every day you are being measured by your wealth, by your income, your standard of living.
Do you mind rounding up? I gave you extra 30 seconds, if you don't mind. Sorry.
So I think we need to also focus our attention into making sure that our solutions are also included with the standard of living of the people, so that all these symptoms that we are seeing that we think is the real problem can fizzle out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Dr. Ngozi. I believe that's you. We've asked you to unmute.
Thank you so much, Sajoh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. So I just want to pivot back to the issue of insecurity. We've identified that insecurity is a big issue in the country, and we also talked about the fact that banditry is an issue, and the Marjorie system is a feeder source for some of those activities. I grew up in the North. I live in the United States now. I'm not quite satisfied with the answer that was given regarding the role of women. The role of women. I don't know if the other speaker has any thoughts. I know when Professor Ahmad was talking, he said, the Sharia does not subjugate women, but I'm just wondering if he has any examples of any nations where it is being practiced, where women are at the forefront, or if those other countries are also practicing political Sharia, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Iran, Afghanistan, or any of those nations where that system is being practiced, if there is no subjugation of women, because I still believe that women have a big role to play in raising these children and making them get educated, have a say in their lives, so that they will not be a source of feeder system for the bandits. So those are just my questions. I mean, does he have any thoughts regarding the role of women? And if Dr. Ahmad has any examples of nations where this is being practiced, where women are at the forefront in terms of leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to take the last question because we are up on time. Sister Hope, please go ahead with your question. We've asked you to unmute. We've asked you to unmute, so please go ahead.
You know they go church. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, President. Good evening, my dear. I just want to contribute something. See, the problem we're having with Nigeria making any progress is the problem of insincerity. They say those who come with equity must come with clean hands. See, insincerity is our biggest problem. Okay, if, for instance, let me give an illustration. If something is going on, ordinarily something is wrong, but if I'm from APC, then I would not see anything wrong in it because it's an APC administration. Now the opposition is being stifled and cannot speak. Last week, I made this point that the biggest problem we have is the problem of our judiciary, where those who have a voice that cannot speak don't even have a place to go to. It should have been that if there's something we're unhappy about, we go to court and get relief or have it redressed, but we can't even do that. We talk a lot of theory, but we're not talking practically. We need to begin to talk practically to make progress. We need to begin, and I think we just need to break down our issues. If we want to deal with insecurity, let us stop everything else and everybody talk about insecurity, deal with insecurity, dispose of it, then we can maybe pick up health. And then maybe we can pick up education. But we're talking about too many things at the same time, so we can't really have a Marshall Plan. We need a Marshall Plan to tackle one thing and resolve it.
Thank you, sis.
I'm sorry, that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you. I know you're passionate about this. Thank you for your contribution, but we're definitely up on time, and I'm sure this is a conversation that will probably go on and on. So I'm going to yield the floor to our speaker to respond to all those comments. I'll take some announcements, and then I'll bring up Mr. President to close. So please go ahead, sir, if you want to speak to those.
Thank you very much. Let me start from the part B of your question. Honestly, Islamic scholars in northern Nigeria are not silent. It's just that majority of them are not schooled in the Western system. The few that are schooled, in Western, we have Western education, are actually the ones that are confusing those of us that do not understand local languages. But a lot of them are really speaking out. A lot of them are speaking out, and they're using the language that people understand, and a lot of them also are lackeys of the oppressors. They translate doctrines to serve the interests of the oppressors. We have them on both sides. We have those that are fighting the oppressive system. We have those that are reinforcing the oppressive system. It's a normal thing in life, but a lot of them are talking. I am an Islamic scholar to some extent, and I talk. So many people are talking, but like I said, a lot of us don't also want to be. A lot of us don't want to be popular on the digital space. We want to do something that can make a difference, and we're doing so. Now, I like the contributions about history and the rest, but the truth about it is that the oppressor does not respect any history. The oppressor is an oppressor, and if he oppresses you, he oppresses you. But I like his narrative on history. It's fantastic. And anytime he's going to speak, I will be willing to listen. But let me also tell you that sometimes we just promote certain stereotypes. When my hometown was invaded and we were sacked and it was taken over and the name of the town was changed, the leadership of the town was chased out. It was under a CNC that was a non-Muslim, a chief of defense staff that was a non-Muslim, a chief of army staff that was a non-Muslim. As far as we were concerned, it had nothing to do with their religion. It had to do with the failure to protect us. And then when we now had CNC and chief of army staff and the rest are Muslim, we still had faced security challenges. So you just begin to ask yourself, these people, are they even concerned about this thing that we are concerned about? Do they even care about this religion of a thing? Do they even care about the lives of our people? I think I am still insisting that we need to start looking at issues beyond just black and white. There are very many shades of gray. Just like the speaker spoke, yes, there were historical realities. We are also victims. When Nigeria took over our own territory, we had our own system that had no bearing with the northern Nigerian system. But what did they do? They imposed a king on us. They imposed their systems on us, and we suffered. My father faced a lot of oppression. I know this for a fact. So, an oppressor is an oppressor, no matter how you look at him. My brother, we're talking about peer review. Who told you that we want to copy the West? If we are to copy the West, then we have to copy the compassionate system in the West. We have to copy the accountability in the West. We have to copy the honesty in the West. We have to copy so many things that will not give the ruling elite the advantage that they enjoy today. So it's a deliberate thing. It's not like they don't want to copy. It's not like they are incapable of copying. You're talking about data. How can a thief want data? If you say he should operate with data, then you are not telling me that whatever he has stolen will come out very clearly in the data bank. And he knows that. He knows that more than you do. He doesn't care about standard of living. So long as he gets the advantage, What is his business with us? If these people are concerned about our standard of living, we will not have this level of multidimensional poverty. I told you that there are quite a large number of Nigerians that do not even have the benefit of toilets. Not talk of water or electricity or education. They know. If you think these people don't know, wallahi, they know. You were talking about, when you're talking about Yara Adua. Yara Adua, yes. You know, some of us are still questioning why that man died. Forget about the fact that they were lying about him being sick when he was governor and all that. No, he was addressing real issues that would have reduced the advantage of the oppressor class. And you have to be ready, you have to be prepared if you want to do that. Ngozi, my dear, look, insecurity and the Almajiri, honestly, they are like Siamese twins. So if we don't address one, we cannot get rid of the other, because there's no way that you will empty a water pot unless if you stop pouring water into it. So we need to do something about it. And honestly, role of women are very critical. Women are the first classroom for every child, including those of us that are on this. You learn for not even Western education. You begin to learn even to call your father and your mother Baba or Papa, Mama from your mother. So women have a huge quantum of roles to play. But are we ready to allow them to play the role? Well, again, the oppressor class will never allow that, because an empowered woman is actually a challenge. Then hope. I agree with you that there is a lot of hypocrisy and insincerity, but I assure you that everything I say, I do. Everything I have said, I speak more forcefully than this on national media. I have held positions of authority. If for any reason I had been anything other than what I am today, I would have been behind bars a long time ago. So I agree with you, seriously. I am from the north. Would I have spoken the way I've spoken if I were just an average, insincere, and hypocritical northerner? I will not. I may not even accept to come and speak to this forum. But, you know, we are who we are. And let me end by sincerely thanking the Africa Leadership Group and my own sister Jumoke, who contacted me, and all of you that participated, those that are still around and those that have left, and of course, Itu Aigadolo, you don't know that I have been following you for quite some time, and I'm happy that you moderated this session at the beginning, and I'm proud of some of the things you're doing for the benefit of our country. We pray that God Almighty, in His infinite mercy, will be the one that will change our country for the better. I believe we have an advantage. Our large population, our diversity, diverse environment, our capacity to do anything in this world, it's an advantage that we should keep. I would have loved to have my own country other than Nigeria. But I believe that if you reduce the size of where I call my country, you are diminishing me by the quantum of the reduction in the size that I have left behind. Let's keep hope alive, but let us also be honest enough to realize that we are challenged in very many areas, but these challenges can be overcome. Lastly, we are just two tribes: the tribe of the rich and oppressive class and the tribe of the struggling and hopeless class. All those of us that are in the middle, we are just taking sides. There are always oppressors and the oppressed, and each of them have their own lackeys. You are either a lackey of the oppressor or you are the lackey of the oppressed. But in truth, there is no difference. We are all the same people. Nobody does what he does that gives him the advantage over others. Thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you so much. Jumoke, what are the announcements?
Yeah, over to you, sir. I think we are up on time, so maybe you can close. I'm sure you take that about next week. Just also wanted to mention about our upcoming youth leadership development program for governance offices. So we'll be calling on those that are really interested in facilitating those programs of conversation. We have a program and we're trying to train our youths to take position, whether as administrator or political offices in the local government. Our School of Leadership and Governance offers those courses, and we're calling on all well-meaning Nigerians that have the same mindset to partner with us and facilitate a lot of those courses. We have a link. I put a link in the chat room, so please go ahead and fill that form, and then I'll reach out to you. Our coordinator will reach out to you and discuss the curriculum and the courses that you can facilitate. Also, we have a leadership selection criteria that we rolled out in this cycle, and we'll be rolling it out again in 2027 or maybe next year, 2026, in preparation for 2027. So we need all hands on deck. Please partner with us. That link is in the chat room, and fill it, and then we'll definitely be in touch with you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jumoke. I think next week, Thursday, will be our last Thursday for this year. We will then go on break until the first or second week of the new year. So let me wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year ahead. But please tune in next week, Thursday, for another exciting edition of the Nigerian Leadership Series. Let me thank my brother, Ahmad Sajoh. I really enjoyed engaging with you. You spoke very frankly, you spoke very sincerely. And when I said that, would you run for office? I was very, very, very serious about it. Because one of the challenges of Nigeria is that people who should be in office are not there. I don't know how old you are, but you don't look old, you don't sound old. I think you still have some juice in you. And if you can run for a relevant office, you'll be able to influence many more people. I know it's expensive. I know it is tough. I know that a lot of people will not like good people to be in power or in leadership. And that is why we're having a lot of the problems that we're having. There are not enough good people to set the right example in leadership. What we did was a lot of us good people, for one reason or the other, people like myself, oh, I'm in church, I'm a pastor. Others say I'm a professional, I'm making money. Others say that, well, I can't risk it, I can't do this. And others like yourself are now saying they're too old. Okay. If this generation goes without making a lot of impact, the upcoming generation that have not even known any ethics or values, who have lived under a free-for-all corrupt system, we think that that is the normal way. That is how things go, unless there's a miracle. So we must find a way to really, really engage, orientate, and reorientate. So Jumoke and myself will please be engaging you to see how we can really push a very strong narrative of how we can change the thinking of a lot of our people. Nigeria is bigger than all of us. We are better together. There's more than enough resource to drive a good country. What we need is sincere, stable, truthful, honest, focused, caring, compassionate leadership that is not thinking mostly and largely of themselves to corner our resources. If we can have this, and this is what happened in Singapore, this is what has happened in China, this is what has happened in Malaysia and other parts of the world where they've made progress in spite of British colonialism. They were gifted with good leadership that was able to do their best to eradicate that colonial foundation. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for them at all. It was really, really sacrificial. And even some of them still suffer from that colonial foundation, in spite of what they have achieved, and so on and so forth. It wasn't easy at all. So let's hope that we will be gifted with that leadership, or those of us who still know a bit better will aggressively work towards enforcing the change in mindsets of the average Nigerian. Once again, my dear brother, thank you so much. I look forward to us meeting either virtually or physically and see how we can continue to help Nigeria. I want to thank everybody that has been on the program. I want to thank my friend that made the comments. Those comments were very strong, very useful. The historic perspective was very, very welcome. He messaged me to say he had a perspective that he wanted to elucidate, and I thought that it would be nice to really hear that perspective. I'm also asking him to feature on the program as soon as we can, maybe early in the new year, if not next week, and then we can then hear that perspective from a stronger angle. So thanks a lot, my brother, and God bless you. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. I wish you all a very Happy New Year. I want to thank everybody that has kept faith with us on the ALG. I want to thank you for your love, passion, and compassion for Nigeria. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for your comments. And I want to thank you for being who you are. Nigeria will be great again. God bless you all. Have a very good evening, a wonderful weekend ahead, and all of the Almighty's protection. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you all.
you.
Faye, can
Thank
you
you.
please stop the YouTube now?
Thank you, Pastor.
Mommy, God bless you.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Abuja is expecting you.